my wish for the world, for peace to find its way to every boy and girl.
Hello everyone, my name is Suman Nagasi Andu. I work for the Healthcare for the Homeless team with Public Health Seattle King County. I am a child of refugees and immigrants originally from Eritrea. I was born and raised in Sana'a, Yemen, and then in this country for about 20 years now. It's been a long time. In terms of the importance of the Refugee Community Building Conference, I think we've always talked about that refugees are amongst the most vulnerable populations in any county, community, city. But unfortunately, firsthand, living through many experiences, we've got to notice that systems that are built weren't built for people who look like us. And at the same time, our experiences, the needs of our communities, from healthcare to social services to even within the school system, at any system, when you talk about systems in general, refugees, immigrants are completely invisible. And working in my field for about 10 years now, I've noticed that we're invisible because they don't have the ability to, by institutions, communities, any service providing organization, do not have a healthy understanding of the needs of people who look like me, who look like many of us who are watching this video. Therefore, I think in a conference like this, it's important for us to get together, one, to build community, because most often, which is something I was just sharing, we feel alone in the work that we do. And many of us do this work because, one, we've been through it. Two, we see the need in our community, and sometimes you are one of one, or you might have 2 or 3 people, but then you have an influx of people coming to you. So if you're from Iraq, you have people who are from Iraq coming to you because you might be the only one who really can help them navigate things. And it's heavy usually on people who do this work. So in spaces like this, it's great because we get to connect, we get to know each other, we get to talk about all the different ways that we're struggling. So in a way, you struggle together, right? But at the same time, you get to elevate your voices and strategize on how to start making, steps to change what we're seeing. And for me, I've had many conversations already. I think one of the first steps is to make sure that we're moving our people from the invisible category to the visible category, meaning to start recognizing the needs of our people in all aspects, and I think this is one of the places to do that. And my hope is that this conference grows bigger and stronger because there's a lot of resources out there. And also it's important for us to prep the next generation to carry on the path that we have started. So I think that's why this is extremely important. And it's also beautiful to see all the beautiful faces and languages and cultures being represented here. So thank you so much. And I hope that you join us in this fight, because if we do not serve our communities and our people, who will? I think we have to start that. So yeah, thank you for giving me the chance to speak. And appreciate you all.
This is the time to begin. Let love be the song I'm singing.
The first conference was back in 1999, and it was really inspired by the Office of Refugee Resettlement back in Washington, D.C. gathering. So we wanted to bring it back here and get the community excited around refugee issues. And the last one was in 2009. So we really wanted to bring it back after 14 years, given what's going on globally with refugees, and also the refugee admission that has gone down to 25,000 instead of 125. So we wanted to put a spotlight on that and bring the community together in terms of what is it that we can do together to push the agenda and the interest of refugees.
So what is the main goal of this conference today?
The main goal is to focus on what we can do policy-wise and advocacy-wise to, again, help our refugee communities.
And how many organizations are partnering today?
So there are about 6 of them. That Iraqi Community Center of Washington, the Horn of Africa Services, Somali Community Services of Seattle, Helping Link, and Mother Africa, and Partner in Employment.
And your organization?
New Americans Alliance for Policy and Research.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. So the reason for me to found and to actually establish this organization was precisely to focus on policy, because without that, nothing else is going to change for our refugee communities.
Is there a politician today coming?
Yes, Council Member Muhammad Igal from the city of SeaTac, and also King County Council Member Germay Zahalai. He's going to be the keynote.
Thank you, Ms. Samara.
Sure, absolutely.
Fill the air with joyful noise. Ring the bells and raise your voice. Let there be peace on earth. Let there be peace on earth.
We have so much to do. We must continue the effort to inform and educate the public and our legislative bodies about refugees and the contributions they make to this country. And we must do that until we build a growing recognition of our cause and the challenges facing our refugees. We must demand that the needs of refugees are taken into account when decisions are made about housing, education of our children, employment opportunities, and health and mental health.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's so good to see you all and to be here. It's my first time speaking in front of a large crowd since the pandemic, so it's an honor and privilege to be here with you all. My name is Suman Nagasi Andu. I am the director for the Healthcare for the Homeless team with Public Health Seattle King County, and I've had the honor and privilege of serving our community in different roles for over 8 years with the homeless population here in King County. I am also an immigrant. My parents are refugees who have, navigated difficult circumstances, just like many of us here. I was born and raised in Yemen, Sana'a, Yemen, so I grew up in that part of the world. So my parents are from East Africa, Eritrea. And so I carry all of that with me, and I'm here to represent not only the work that I do, but also, the beautiful people of the Middle East and Africa. So it is an honor to be here. Systematically, many of our people have been not only oppressed, but we have adapted to so many challenges. And for many of us who do this work, even for me, I was just talking with my brother Muhammad here about our experiences. Most often we feel like when we're here representing our stories, our people, all the challenges, struggles that we are the only ones doing it, or that many people don't understand what is going on because we feel like we're isolated and the work that we do for many reasons, The interesting part is, me and Muhammad, we met over Zoom, but we never really sat down and talked about our experiences. And it's identical, and it's really mind-boggling that though, we've never seen each other in person, we can sit down and talk about pretty much the same thing that we face when we come to the system. So the importance of this and the importance of us being together is, I think, to build, to make connections, to learn about each other, so that we can continue to show up better for the people we care about. When we talk about vulnerable populations in our community, when we talk about refugees, I think that are amongst the most vulnerable because they're not seen, we're invisible. So I think it's on all of us to make sure that they're visible from this point forward. And so that is why we're here, and many of us do this work from a place of love. And so I think whenever you have love in any equation, it only can flourish and becomes better. So I wanted to share that, and so I wanted to thank you for taking the time being here out of your busy lives. There's a lot going on already in the community, in the world, and you dedicating the time to be here shows that care about this work, and so it's an honor and privilege to be amongst you today. The Tacoma Refugee Choir is a non-traditional choir of refugees and immigrants, friends who seek belonging and are committed to creating a more equitable and welcoming community. In the first 7 years, the Tacoma Refugee Choir, led by Aaron Winnell, has welcomed over 800 members from over 65 countries and performed for over 40,000 people at community, educational, and governmental events. So all these beautiful people are going to perform for us today. Please give them a nice, warm welcome. Thank you.
Close your eyes, secret quiet valley. Hear the sound of rivers, taste the rain. Brush your teeth from our faces, bring life to bear. Now take my hand, maybe we'll find hope, maybe we'll find love together and cross land. Together we can fly, together we can try to be hope. Take a breath. Feel the color of the sunlight when the fog winds away. Feel the breeze gently rubbing your whole body, healing your broken wings. Now take one step, and we can walk with hope. We can walk with hope together. We wish you day. Together we'll dive, together we'll begin to be hope. We need more than these words. We need more than just faith. We need proof that the future is real. See how life all around us can go and
It's definitely an honor and a privilege to introduce our next speaker, our keynote speaker. I have the privilege of knowing him since my high school days, and as I got to watch him lead, I saw him, or I see him on the ground when things are good, when things are bad. I see him advocating for people who look just like us at every step of the way. And honestly, it just makes me proud of being not just an immigrant, but to see someone who looks like me, to see that representation matters. So without further ado, I just wanted to introduce my brother, Councilmember Jeremiah Zahra, who my child, thank you for coming to be with us. It's definitely an honor and privilege to welcome you. Yes.
I know that Simone says that we look alike, but I think he has a little bit more hair than me. So, we're the same age, and he gets to keep his hair. It's not fair. And he keeps it at a little afro like that because he wants to show off. I see you. I see what you're doing, brother. Thank you so much, everybody, for having me today. It is so beautiful to be here and such an honor to be here. Dr. Samira, thank you for inviting me. My family actually benefited a lot from Refugee Women's Alliance, I think probably during the time when you were executive director. So it's beautiful to see all of the people who help us as a community, who support us. I see so many familiar faces in here, and I just want to extend my gratitude. I'm Gurmai Zakalai. I'm a King County Council member. I know some people are like, what is that? What is a King County Council member? So each city has its own council. SeaTac has its own council. We have Mohammed somewhere in here. Where's Mohammed? Is he in here? Not yet. So he's a city council member. Seattle has its own council. Tequila has its own council. And then the region of King County has its own council. 9 people who set laws and policies around regional services like King County Metro, King County Public Health, which we saw on the screen there. And so I'm one of those 9 council members. But long before I was a council member, I was a refugee. My story starts before I was born. My mom was in Ethiopia, and there was a civil war, there was famine, there were so many problems in that area at that time. And so she crossed the border into Sudan as a refugee. And once she got there, I was born and my brother was born. And when we turned 3, we worked with the UN to board a flight, fly across the Atlantic Ocean, come to the United States. And we've been in the U.S. in South Seattle since I was 3 years old. My mom traded one set of struggles as a refugee in Sudan for another set of struggles here in the U.S. You know, a lot of times we hear beautiful stories about what the U.S. can be, and those ideals are beautiful, but everybody here on the ground knows that there are a lot of unique struggles to being here as a refugee. My mom didn't speak the language. She didn't have a formal education. She didn't understand the culture. And so you can suffer a lot of abuse when you're like that. And I know I'm not telling anything new to the people in this room. So my mom, trying to raise 3 kids, had to work 3 different jobs as a nursing assistant, making minimum wage. So one job wasn't enough. So she got a second job as a nursing assistant. That wasn't enough. So she got a 3rd job as a nursing assistant. Every day, working graveyard shifts, 16 hours a day. There were a couple of weeks where she worked 36 hours straight just to try to pay rent, just to try to take care of her kids, just to try to pay for the car. This is not right. This is not the way things should be, because what we hear is that if you work hard, you will climb up the economic ladder, and one day you will be able to retire with dignity, and your kids will be better off. That's the dream. That wasn't the story for my mom. She worked so hard that she ended up blowing out both of her knees, and now she's disabled. And that's the story I hear of so many people around our region just trying to make a living, and they can't. And what happens to the kids? The kids, when the parents are not home, grow up with nobody in the house. That's how my brother and my sister and I grew up. Nobody in the house. A lot of kids ended up on the wrong track, getting in trouble, not having enough stimulation, youth opportunities. We grew up in Skyway, and when my mom was out there working 3 different jobs, we were at home in a neighborhood that didn't have a lot of community centers, didn't have a lot of public transportation, and so we were isolated. And with isolation comes mental health issues, comes gun violence, comes public safety issues. These are all things that we all understand. And I wouldn't be telling this story if it was just a unique story to my family. When I go around South Seattle, when I go around Skyway, I still hear those same stories. Thousands of families, especially refugees and immigrants, who don't speak the language, who don't have a formal education, coming here and suffering from this type of economic environment. And so in 2019, I decided I want to help change that. I want to be part of the solution. So I ran for the King County Council to focus on these issues, to focus on our region, and how can we make this a better place so that everybody can have a chance to survive, especially communities like ours. And since I've been on the council, we've been able to make real positive changes, working with so many of the community members here. The more you make noise, the more you organize, the more you connect with each other and form a collective that can advocate, the more powerful your voice will be. And that's why I think this event is so powerful. When you meet each other, when you form bonds with each other, you become stronger as a collective. And so use this power, build community together, and put pressure on your governments to create the safe, thriving neighborhoods that each and every single one of you deserve. Thank you so much for your time.
Lift your light, let it shine, 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 shine. Let there be peace on earth. Let there be peace on earth.
I hear the sweetest sound, the sound of hope to come. Together we can.
Our home is always like a nonprofit organization helping. She loves to help people find jobs. If they're homeless, she will house them. We always have somebody or a family living with us growing up, and helping refugees and immigrants from Ethiopia and Eritrea when they're resettling to Europe and America and Australia at that time. They bring letters, we translate it. We just, as little kids, we're excited to know the language and be able to help. That helped me to just understand the social service from an early age.
Goodwill to everyone. Let it start with you. Let it start with me. Let every nation rise to sing this melody. Fill the air with joyful noise. Ring the bells and raise your voice. Let there be peace on earth. Let there be peace on earth. Lift your light, let it shine. Shine, shine, shine. Let there be peace on earth. Let there be peace on earth.
For those of us that work with families, let's remember why we chose to do this and give them the tools they need so that it's long lasting. And for those of us that are parents, no one's going to believe in your child the way that you believe in your child. Yes. You know, every morning when they're leaving and they're either getting on that bus or you're dropping them off, give them an affirmation. Because that is going to, if they experience a negative day, your affirmation is going to be like the noise they're hearing in their head. And when they come back home, recenter that affirmation.